From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco on this Saturday night, I'm Brian Hackett.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. We begin tonight with developing news out of Rhode Island. Tonight, a gunman is at large and students at Brown University are still on lockdown.
2 people were killed, 8 others wounded after gunshots rang out on campus. Authorities say that 6 of the victims are in critical but stable condition.
It happened at the school's engineering building about 4.5 hours ago. Police say they are making their way through campus buildings in search of the suspect. He is described as a man dressed in all black. Police say they plan on putting out an image soon.
We're utilizing every resource possible to find this suspect. The shelter in place is in order, and I urge people to take that very seriously.
The shooting comes on the second day of finals week for the Ivy League University. We heard from a witness who lives near Brown about what she saw when the shooting started.
And I saw police cars just rushing by, like more and more coming, followed by like fire trucks. I mean, I was hoping that everyone got out well. It was really shocking and it's confusing.
We will keep you updated on this story as we get more information.
And some stories we're following around the Bay Area, beginning in San Francisco, where a number of rifles and pistols and other firearms were turned over at a gun buyback event. It's hosted by the local nonprofit United Players and comes weeks after a teen shot and injured 3 people at Valley Fair Mall. Police say the shooter thought one of the victims was part of a rival gang.
And it's just a sense that, people are tired. We're all supportive of the Second Amendment. But sometimes, as you can see, we're at close to almost 200 guns this morning, that a lot of these guns are just, being unattended, can get access to people who don't need them.
Posey says they usually get about 200 guns whenever they host the event.
Well, Crane Cove Park finally gets the playgrounds that it was promised. Millions of dollars donated to building the playgrounds were misused by a powerful nonprofit that shut down this past summer.
The park is in the Dogpatch neighborhood, a few blocks from Chase Center, surrounded by densely populated apartments and condos. Dial N has been following the story and tells us how the Port of San Francisco finally managed to deliver on its promise.
The scandal shocked the port and many young families that waited years for the playgrounds. They thought no money meant no playground. So this is a big surprise and an early Christmas gift for the community.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Port and city leaders joined the community on Friday to open the much anticipated playgrounds at Crane Cove Park. Among the many excited neighbors is the Andrews family.
Shock, delight, even though it's a little chilly right now, just so much excitement to see this kinetic energy. Hands back. Perfect.
RJ Andrews lives 2 blocks away. He and his wife follow the progress of the playgrounds even before their kids were born. The Port of San Francisco had hoped to open 2 playgrounds and a dog park as far back as 2020. So earlier this spring, when RJ learned that most of the $3 million donated by the Baker Street Foundation to build the playgrounds have been mismanaged by a nonprofit, he was crushed.
A lot of disappointment when we learned that what was so close was lost.
The San Francisco Parks Alliance claims it used most of the donated money to pay staff. The scandal rocked the city and forced the powerful nonprofit to shut down over the summer.
We were all waiting a long time for this moment.
The Port of San Francisco shifted money around in its budget to find the funds needed to complete the project. The project manager at the port says it was emotional to finally see it finished and to see what it now represents for the neighborhood.
The design was supposed to evoke our maritime history here at the port, and so this was a historic shipyard. There's giant gantry cranes they use to actually work on the ships, and so the climbing structure for the slide looks a lot like that.
In fact, some of the play structures are made from materials recycled from the shipyard.
We would have been happy with any kind of playground equipment, but once we saw them assembling this day by day over a couple months, we got really excited because this is honestly, it looks like a playground from the future.
The neighborhood kids agree.
I like it. I like the swing. I like when the slide goes fast. My favorite part is everything.
Like the park?
Yes, I love it.
Do you think we'll be coming back here?
It's one of my favorites.
The project manager says students from Red Bridge School, just a block away, helped choose colors and other design elements.
We come to the park at least twice every day, sometimes 3 times a day. So this is definitely our backyard.
There's no place here to play around for the kids. So we are happy to this is the first playground nearby here.
And RJ's 4-year-old son, Atlas, enjoys it too.
It's just one small playground, but for us it's just it's a symbol that things can happen and we can push things forward and do good.
The adults approve, and more importantly, the kids love it. As for the Parks Alliance, both the city attorney and the district attorney have launched investigations into the mismanagement of millions of dollars. Those investigations are still active.
Well, another earthquake in the Bay Area this morning. A 2.7 magnitude quake hit Sonoma County earlier today. It hit just southeast of Santa Rosa at around 9:30. Only light shaking was reported within a 10-mile radius of the epicenter. No reports of any damage, Brian.
Well, Andrea, as you know, any quake of any size in the Bay Area, like the one today, is the opposite of surprising. But there do seem to be quite a few of them lately. None big, none damaging, just quite a few. And that's a bit of a mystery.
When it comes to quakes, it's the big ones that usually get your attention, unless the smaller ones come in swarms. They have for a month in the East Bay, dozens of magnitude 2 to 4 quakes, and it's a bit of a mystery. Anne-Marie Bolte is a geophysicist with USGS.
Anne-Marie, why do they get these earthquake swarms in this area repeatedly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't know exactly why they're occurring there. We can't actually look down into the earth. We can't stick our head down there. But we think it's from some small, subtle movements of the fault.
And it's not the first time. There have been 7 quake swarms in this general area since 1970.
We can't say for certain how long this swarm is going to go on for. In the past, we've had swarms that only lasted for about 2 days, and we've had swarms that lasted for about a month.
And it's not just that swarm. The entire Bay Area recently has been peppered with epicenters of magnitude 3 quakes.
Is there anything alarming here? No, but it's intriguing at least.
Geophysicist Ross Stein lectures at Stanford.
Here we're looking at the last 30 days of earthquakes in the Bay Area. It may be a higher rate than typical. We have the San Ramon swarm. Then we have Salinas, we had the Gilroy swarm, and then we have another swarm in the San Andreas.
It seems more active than usual, with 22 magnitude 3 plus quakes since September. Many of them on or near the Hayward Fault's less famous cousin, the nearby 75-mile-long Calaveras Fault.
It's very long, and it has kind of AC/DC behavior. It creeps, and it produces earthquakes.
The 6.2 Morgan Hill earthquake was one.
Many lives are in disarray in Morgan Hill tonight. Wendy?
More recently, a 5.1 near Alum Rock, but the Calaveras could spring a 7.5.
So we know this is one of the sleeping giants in the bay.
But while the exact cause of the swarm isn't well understood, there is agreement on one thing.
As far as we understand, these are not indicators of a major earthquake coming.
So you're perfectly at peace with these. There's no little red alarms going on in the back of your seismic mind.
No, these are incredibly consistent with these past swarms that we've seen in the San Ramon area.
Nevertheless, one of these days, it's not going to be a magnitude 3 or a magnitude 4. The Hayward Fault is well due to spring a pretty big quake. And as Ross said, the Calaveras is a sleeping giant. So, as usual, these little magnitude 2s and 3s remind you to think about how ready you and your family are for when it does happen. And I know Andrea has thought about exactly that. Andrea, hasn't she?
Yes, I have, Brian. Thank you. Well, coming up, a North Pole takeover in San Francisco. A look at this year's SantaCon, and it's a pretty nice day for it, Darren.
It did work out pretty nicely for that. We got sunshine by the time we got into late morning, like we have for the last 3 weeks, for most of us. Some parts of the Bay never got that, again, today. The pattern is showing signs now, meaningful clues, that it's finally going to change, and there's rain. Actually rain in the forecast. When's the last time we did that? We'll take a look at how likely, the timing, and how much we might get. Coming up, forecast next.
And welcome back. School districts across the Bay Area are grappling with how to address the growing number of e-bikes on their campuses. An advocacy group called E-Bike Access says one high school campus in Marin saw a 55% hike from spring of last year. I guess they mean a 55% hike in number of e-bikes. Part of the problem is many of them are illegal or are being operated by kids under the age of 16. Kenny Choi's got details on the plan to rein them in.
What started as a crusade to allow e-bikes on bicycle trails in Marin County years ago has become a mission to make roads safer for Bob Middlestead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As a volunteer for Safe Routes to School and founder of E-Bike Access, Middlestead visits school campuses across the Bay Area to track the rising number of e-motos.
This is like driving a motor vehicle without a driver's license and without DMV plates.
It's illegally modified e-bikes and e-motos he and others describe as illegal electric motorcycles that can go from 0 to 40 or even 50 plus miles per hour in seconds that are causing safety issues on school campuses, sidewalks, and roads.
It doesn't even have a Class 2 e-bike label on it. It doesn't pretend to be an e-bike. It's an e-motorcycle, start to finish.
As students commute to school using e-bikes, some legal and others not, regulating them has become a challenge for law enforcement and school districts. In the South Bay, the Menlo Park City School District recently banned anyone under 16 from bringing e-bikes capable of exceeding 20 miles per hour or operating without pedaling onto campus. Kristen Gracia is Menlo Park City School District Superintendent.
The primary reason for doing this was student safety and is student safety.
School officials believe the new rules will curb the number of e-bike related accidents and illegal e-bikes.
It creates a very predictable situation and one that our district is trying to avoid.
We're talking about brain trauma, talking about multiple broken bones, internal injuries, the serious stuff, the kind of stuff you get when you're in a motorcycle accident.
Central Marin Police confirmed last month it had cited at least one parent for allowing an unlicensed driver of an e-motorcycle and that illegal e-bikes have been impounded.
That is a great step forward. That will wake up parents once they know about that.
Law enforcement points to staffing issues in tackling illegal e-bikes. Safety advocates like Middlestead continue to push school districts and police for more enforcement.
Well, things are going to change tomorrow, but you might not be able to tell. It's going to look almost identical. That's today from the top of Mount Diablo. Just the last little bit of Thule fog, Thule stratus that was left over and didn't want to melt away. Let's come over to the map. I'll show you what it looked like out there today. And then I'll show you, more importantly, what it's going to look like tomorrow. Here's the last several hours of satellite. And you can see you had just this little ribbon left over right there from the Thule fog still coming into Marin. But we need to change what we look at now. Look off the coast. This is a big batch of old-fashioned coastal marine layer stratus that has crept up from the south over the past 24 hours. It's a southerly surge of clouds. We typically see this in the summer. Here's what's going to be almost kind of heartbreaking about this. Tomorrow, the Thule fog is going to relent. I'm going to put this into a future cast. Watch what happens. Thule fog does not really become too overwhelming. But did you see what the marine layer off the coast did? It filled in and grayed us over anyway. So tomorrow's finally the first day in a while where Thule fog is not going to take over the entire bay. And that's the first day in a while that the marine layer coming in from the coast is going to build back in. Bottom line is, it's not going to look any different tomorrow. It's going to look pretty much identical to the way that it did today. Let's start you out. Here's tomorrow morning. And when you take a look at the numbers, they're almost identical. So you see your part of the bay on there. Happy Sunday. You'll have numbers in the low to mid 40s. Let's take a look at where we'll be for daytime highs and get those numbers on here now. And again, not really a whole lot of difference there in terms of how it's going to feel. So now that I've just set the stage for you to think nothing new will be happening, now for something completely different, something new is coming. The pattern is going to hold through the weekend, but it is going to start changing next week. We take a look out off the coast and we see what the satellite has looked like. You see the arcing ridge right there. Watch what happens. We'll put our blocking high, which has been over California. The clouds are still going around it. And by that, I mean, you can see what the clouds are doing out there. They're coming around and they're going around the ridge the other way because they can't go through it. That's about to change. And we're about to break that down. And when we look at the futurecast in terms of rain over the next 4 or 5 days, we're going to let this play all the way ahead to next Wednesday. That's how far we got to go. But that one right there is going to be able to come together. We're going to get some rain out of it. I want a closer look at that so you can time this out and see where things stand in terms of what this rain could look like by the time it gets here. So here's an easier way to see that. There's the time frame. And the first rain comes through on Wednesday, and it's not going to be a lot. This is what we just saw in the virtual set. So maybe a few light showers in the North Bay on Wednesday. You might get a 1/4 inch of rain in Sonoma County on Wednesday from this. And then that kind of fizzles out. Everybody gets something out of it on Wednesday, maybe like a 1/10 of an inch of rain south of the Golden Gate. Then that one goes away, and the next one comes in, and the next one's better. And the next one brings us more widespread rain for everybody. That's Friday, and there it goes. It gets everybody. Widespread rain into Saturday, and there could be more after that. When we look at the longer range forecast after those first two, there's a couple more. So we're not going to get too specific on those just yet. Just know the pattern's about to change. We're going to be saying goodbye to this winter inversion, the Thule fog, and the cold air, and we'll bring in other kinds of cold air from cold fronts from the systems that come through. So it may not feel that different, but it won't be as hazy. That's going to be a huge victory. All right, 1/4 inch of rain perhaps from the Wednesday system, and then maybe more after that. You can see how a few more showers want to show up and fill in the map from there on. Let's get into the 7-day forecast now, show you what that looks like. Inland microclimate up first, and you can see a chance of rain on Wednesday, then no chance of rain showing up Friday into Saturday. And a little bit warmer in the afternoon. I'll see you with more on this coming up in the next half hour. Brian, back to you.
All righty, thank you, Darren. From the marina to the mission, bars across San Francisco are packed this evening with Santa lookalikes of all shapes and sizes. It's the annual bar crawl event. It's what the season's all about. SantaCon kicked off this afternoon, bringing thousands of people dressed in Santa suits and holiday hats and ugly Christmas sweaters to San Francisco. Some businesses are sour on the citywide celebration. They say the extra customers aren't worth the hassle. In fact, Santa himself has gone on record.
There were stories of bad Santas out there doing bad things to bad people and to each other, and I said, enough. Put a stop to this. I am proud and honored to be involved in something like this, and I can only hope that it continues for many years to come.
Well, you've heard it from the man himself now. San Francisco Fire Department also held a toy drive just before the event. Santa says that last year they brought in more than 8,000 gifts for the kids, and that is what it's really about.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Welcome back. 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a U.S. interpreter were killed today in an attack in Syria. Now President Trump is vowing to retaliate. CBS News' Willie James Inman is in Washington with details.
Pentagon officials say 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a U.S. interpreter were killed Saturday in an attack in Syria.
So we mourn the loss of 3 great patriots in Syria. You know how it happened. It was an ambush, terrible.
3 other U.S. personnel were wounded in the attack. The Pentagon says they were all part of a joint counter-terror operation with Syrian forces. No group has claimed responsibility for the killings, but President Trump said on Saturday he believes ISIS was behind the attack.
But this was an ISIS attack on us and Syria. And again, we mourn the loss and we pray for them and their parents and their loved ones.
U.S. Central Command said the gunman was engaged and killed. A Syrian government spokesperson said it had issued intelligence warnings to the U.S. prior to the attacks about a possible ISIS attack in the region. The U.S. has hundreds of troops deployed in eastern Syria as part of a coalition to fight against ISIS. The designated terror group was defeated in 2019, but still has sleeper cells within the country that carry out deadly attacks.
We will retaliate.
In a post on social media, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reiterated the White House's resolve to crack down on those targeting Americans, writing, "If you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you."
In Sudan, the United Nations says that 6 peacekeepers were killed after a drone strike hit a UN facility. 8 other peacekeepers were hurt. The UN Secretary General is calling it a war crime. A notorious paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces has been blamed for that attack. In Gaza, an Israeli attack hit a car in the western part of the city, killing at least 4 people, injuring 6 others. Israel says one of the victims was the head of Hamas's reinforcement headquarters.
Well, U.S. military aircraft were seen in the southern part of Puerto Rico, including a Super Stallion helicopter and 2 Navy vessels. This comes amid heightened military operations in the Caribbean. And tensions have increased between the U.S. and Venezuela. The White House has been ramping up its pressure against President Nicolas Maduro. And this week, he hinted more military action. CBS's Erica Brown has more from Washington.
We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water, and now we're starting by land, and by land is a lot easier.
President Trump's next move comes as tensions continue to rise between the U.S. and Venezuela. Earlier this week, the U.S. seized control of a crude oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast, with sources saying the administration is planning more seizures.
We're not going to stand by and watch sanctioned vessels sail the seas with black market oil, the proceeds of which will fuel narco-terrorism of rogue and illegitimate regimes around the world.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro called the seizure an act of piracy and has vowed to protect tankers exporting Venezuelan oil. Here on Capitol Hill, some lawmakers have criticized the oil tanker seizure and have pushed for more transparency on the U.S.'s military actions against Venezuela.
Congress deserves to know, and at least the Intel Committee and the other more important members in our House deserve to have the questions answered, because we're not at war with Venezuela.
The president also vowed to take the fight beyond Venezuela's borders, bringing down drug traffickers wherever they are.
It's not only land strikes on Venezuela, it's land strikes on horrible people that are bringing in drugs and killing our people.
The administration is also taking steps against Maduro's family, announcing new sanctions targeting 3 of Maduro's nephews, a businessman affiliated with him, and 6 shipping companies operating in the country's oil sector.
Now, this is recently released satellite images of the seized oil tanker in the Caribbean. Analysts say it was carrying nearly 2 million barrels of crude oil. It is now headed to Houston, Texas.
And a plane headed to Tokyo had an emergency return after a brush fire began at Washington's Dulles International. Fire started about 12:20 p.m. The flight returned to the airport about 1:30. We heard from a witness who saw crews responding to that emergency landing.
And stopped right on the runway by the threshold, and they came out to the gear and the engine, sprayed the gear with water, it looked like, and then they checked out the engine, which is probably done, but we'll leave that up to the FAA.
All 275 passengers were evacuated safely, and they rescheduled their flight to a later date. Andrea?
Well, coming up, how a South Bay nonprofit is trying to fill the gap for families that have to choose between paying off medical bills or getting groceries.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.
Cuts to federal food benefits are forcing some families to make hard decisions. Len Ramirez introduces us to a South Bay nonprofit that helps families struggling to pay for groceries and medical bills.
Go. Ready? Go. Set. Go. Go.
Inside a mobile home in Mountain View, 7-year-old Gabriel is full of energy, swinging from a seat his family installed right in the living room. His nurse from Coastal Kids Home Care, Annalyn, is there beside him, making sure he stays safe, even as his joy hides just how sick he really is.
It's so fun to watch. He's being like a normal child in a sense.
Gabriel's mom, Giselle Stranges, says he was born with a rare lung disease known only by a number, ABCA3. He's also nonverbal autistic and has ADHD. Giselle says the disease is incurable, and caring for him is a 24-hour-a-day job.
We're only on one income. You know, my husband's the one since Gabriel was born. He's the only one that's working, and so we've had to, try to figure out how to make things work.
Gabriel's illness has led to a financial strain, and it's something Coastal Kids Home Care sees every day in the families it serves.
There's families that were once a 2-income household who are now a 1-income household and have to just reorganize their lives and figure out how it is that they're going to make their next meal.
And this year, families are reeling from reductions to SNAP, the federal food assistance program. Coastal Kids says it's had to change its annual holiday program over the years, and now it's more crucial than ever. What used to be a winter gifts wish list filled with toys is now mostly grocery store gift cards just to help families buy food and essentials.
We just love the idea that our patients and the families were able to pick their own gifts and ultimately utilize the cards for food. As of this year, 2025, we have delivered nearly $100,000 in gift cards to our low-income families.
For Giselle's family, the help couldn't come at a better time. Their SNAP benefits were recently reduced, and even though her husband, AJ, works in aerospace, one income in Silicon Valley wasn't enough. The family has had to file for bankruptcy.
Other people lose their businesses and other things with poor decisions, but they were like, you just didn't have a choice here.
And all of this comes as the family continues to grieve the loss of their daughter, Gia Marie, who died of SIDS at just 8 months old. And they still want to provide their other son, Gianni, with the care and attention he deserves.
For the holidays, especially when you're trying to make the magic happen.
With the help of their nurse, their relatives who live nearby, and organizations like Coastal Kids, the Stranges family is determined to make it through the season, one day, one breath at a time.
Ready?
Well, families across the Bay Area are getting access to healthy food thanks to generous donations from people like you and corporations like Kaiser Permanente. Our Kevin Coe was on hand when they presented their donation to the Alameda County Community Food Bank. Watch.
You know, the Alameda County Community Food Bank serves more than 60,000 people every day. And 20% of the households they serve, someone in there is facing diabetes. 39% of households, well, someone there is facing high blood pressure. That's why fresh produce is so important. And that's why it's also important to have health partners like Kaiser Permanente. Dan, I believe you're here with us here today. What went into this decision to donate more than $150,000 to the food bank?
Well, first off, it's just such a pleasure to be here and partnering with the Alameda Food Bank. Healthy access to food is so critical to healthy communities, and that is just everything we stand for here at Kaiser Permanente. So it's a pleasure to be partnering with you guys over the past couple of years, pleasure to continue doing it going forward, and could not be more excited to donate this to help create that kind of access.
Obviously, fresh produce is a key part of that, where there is a lot of that here at the Alameda County Community Food Bank. But Reggie, the executive director here, I know you guys do fresh produce, was a huge part of it, but a lot more. Just what does this type of money do for all of the services that you guys provide?
We're so appreciative of Kaiser Permanente and their support, both from the standpoint of financial donations like this, but then also for volunteering as well. But this will lead to about 310,000 meals into our community to help us ensure that we have healthy, nourished communities throughout Alameda County.
And you can donate by scanning that QR code there on your screen. And be sure to join us for our holiday special, Stories of Hope. It airs Christmas night at 7 p.m. right here on KPIX, and you'll be able to see all the inspiring stories behind the effort to feed families across the Bay Area. But for now, you're going to see Darren with the forecast. Hey, Darren.
And we're keeping track of what we've been keeping track of for 3 weeks now. Here comes the fog again. Only it's going to be a different kind. It's actually the marine layer stuff coming in from the coast. That's going to overtake us tomorrow. Don't worry. It won't look any different. You won't even be able to tell. It's going to be exactly like the last 3 weeks. But I do have actual, more meaningful changes. We are going to break this pattern. We're going to warm up a little bit, clear out some of the haze, and then, grand finale, it's going to rain. Like in this 7-day forecast. We'll look at that coming up after the break.
Your community, your news, powered by KPIX. CBS News Bay Area. Watch anywhere, anytime. Stay informed and connected. Trusted local news when you want it. CBS News Bay Area. Watch free on any device.
And welcome back. You know, we have had fairly benign weather around the Bay Area, but up in the Pacific Northwest, they've had record rainfall, and in Washington state, first responders are going door to door to rescue people who have been left stranded after historic flooding hit the state. CBS's Christiane Benavides reports the National Guard has been mobilized.
Picking up 2 survivors. This is the moment the U.S. Coast Guard rescued 4 people from the attic of a home near the Canadian border in Washington state. First responders also found a man trapped on the roof of his SUV. They dropped him a life jacket before hoisting him to safety.
The situation is truly historic. You know, rivers like the Skagit River and Cedar Rivers literally experiencing historic levels of flooding.
Washington is under a state of emergency after days of torrential rain washed out roads and left families stranded in their homes. Several rivers overflowed their banks and broke records, including the Skagit, north of Seattle, which crested at nearly 38 feet.
We've never had a flood like this. It's gotten up to the driveway. It's been flooded a few times, but never. Like, this is, for us, and this is crazy. This is a lot more than what we've ever seen. We come from Florida, so we're used to flooding, we're used to hurricanes, but this is a little bit different for us.
The National Guard has mobilized in response to the floods. Some residents are also stepping in as volunteers to help people stranded in their homes reach safety.
We're a community, everyone helps each other here. That's just what it is.
The area is forecasted to see another storm system Monday.
Yeah, you know, while we've been locked in this pattern, this dry December with no rain, the storms have had to go somewhere. This is what it looked like on Friday. There's our Thule fog, and we're clear. Look what the storm track was doing to go around our big block in the atmosphere, and it was just getting steered right into the Pacific Northwest, and that was a significant atmospheric river. There is another one coming in the middle of the week for them, but it won't be as bad as what happened. What happened over the last 3 days up there was historic for them, and it is tied in with our weather. There's a connection to this in terms of how that played out. We're going to get rain here. We're not going to get rain like that, but we are going to see the storm track at least come back, and it's going to happen as early as Wednesday. Let's go in order. These are the last 2 hours of satellite imagery on here, and you can see the Thule fog over here, and then you can see the old school marine layer over there. They look identical. It's going to look identical tomorrow when this one overtakes us. But what you're going to see tomorrow, watch what happens. We'll put it into the Futurecast where you can see how these clouds actually come in and fill in the bay from the coast. Look, that was different. At least it's something different, but it's going to look identical. You won't notice anything has changed. 7 a.m., everybody wakes up to gray skies. Tri-Valley, by the way, that actually will be Thule fog. So, it's a complicated soup of grayness out there tomorrow, but it'll melt back by late morning, early afternoon. We will get plenty of sunshine. If you look at what we did for daytime highs today and what this has been doing to us, you see all the cold air here in the Central Valley. They've been living with Thule fog they don't clear. And what I mean by that is they stay gray all day. And if you don't ever see any sun, you can't warm up out of the 40s. Look at the daytime high for Sacramento, in the 40s. Now look in the foreground, up by you, 70 degrees in the Santa Cruz Mountains today. Look at the Diablo Range on the other side of the Santa Clara Valley. It was in the mid-70s there today. Meanwhile, skip over the mountains, get down into the valley, and that valley right there, it was 57 degrees. So we know this pattern. We've been living with this. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Starting Monday and Tuesday, we are going to start breaking up the inversion that keeps producing this temperature profile for us. And we will warm up a little bit. But oddly enough, it also means we're actually going to get back into the storm track and we're going to get some rain. So it's a little give and take on that. The pattern does want to finally, though, at least give us a little bit of a break. So tomorrow, expect no real difference. Take a look at where you'll be for tomorrow. That's the cold color contour on there. These are your morning lows. And when you look at daytime highs, they're really not all that different than what you've been doing. So we'll just trade those out on the map. That's your Sunday. Cloudy morning, afternoon, sunshine. So if we go back to that storm track, which was really hitting the Pacific Northwest, here's just the last 7 hours of it. And you notice it's already changed. You don't see that really elongated storm track going like out of its way to wrap around California. The clouds are starting to bend back closer to us. We still have our Thule fog there, but the clouds are bending back forward to us. And ultimately, within that, the rain is going to be able to get through. And you'll see some showers, which actually will make it here by Wednesday. I want to give you a close-up view on what that looks like. So let's say goodbye to the depiction on the virtual set. Let's bring in the forecast monitor. And let's play it forward that way. And you'll see the first little bands of rain is going to show up on Wednesday. And it's just going to be in the North Bay. So we'll get some light rain right there. Maybe it's 1/4 of an inch of rain in the North Bay. I don't think we get much elsewhere from that. Then that one fizzles. Maybe you get 1/10 of an inch of rain south of the North Bay, but it wouldn't amount to much. The one that then comes in on Friday looks better. Friday into Saturday, that is our next rainmaker. And that one could give us perhaps 1/4 of an inch of rain area wide. The Wednesday rainmaker doesn't give most of us a whole lot. But the next one that comes in after that, you put down the next layer of rain. But it's going all the way ahead to next weekend. So Wednesday, and then again, looking ahead to Friday and the next week after that. Here's a 7-day forecast. You see what that looks like? Shower shows up by the middle of the week, and we get a little warmer. It's weird, I know, but that's the way it'll work. We're going to clear out the inversion layer. Weak little cold front will actually help warm us up. All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Jared. Thank you. Volunteers returned to East San Jose this morning to hand deliver sledfuls of toys to kids. Organizers say their goal is to make sure that the most vulnerable children in certain neighborhoods get the toys they want this Christmas.
All these kids and everybody, they need something. Everybody needs something. Right now it's hard times, so we're all getting together to help out each other.
Yep, and the event comes as a recent AP poll found that more than 60% of U.S. adults reported paying higher prices for gifts. Andrea, who were the 40% that paid less for gifts this season? That's what I would like to know.
That would not be me. Well, more than mistletoe and poinsettias for sale today at the Hella Plants Holiday Market in Jack London Square this afternoon. Shoppers got their hands on unique plants, home decor, and other unique gifts from a variety of vendors, or they got their hands dirty in workshops and do-it-yourself sessions. This is the 5th year of the event, and they will be holding another holiday market in Sacramento tomorrow. Also in Jack London Square this afternoon, Turf Inc. held their Hyphy Wheels car show. Classic and custom cars were parked around the Jack London's Christmas tree. Coming up next, there's been a fear of AI taking over jobs, but what about house chores? A look at the new tech being developed in Silicon Valley. Some people now rely on AI to do things like write emails or even drive our cars.
One day they will anchor a newscast.
They will.
They already are. But Silicon Valley is playing with new technology to help us do household chores, and Itai Hod has that story.
In this small laundromat in San Francisco, the future is unfolding. On a typical day, Philip Charette, a laundry worker, handles hundreds of pounds of clothes. Enough to make anyone's head spin.
The longest and most tedious part is folding the actual articles of clothing.
But today, he can take a load off with a helping hand, straight out of a sci-fi movie. Meet Isaac, a robot equipped with cameras and sensors that can sort, fold, and stack piles of clothes with surprising precision.
It still blows my mind to think, hey, every day I get up and I go to work with a robot.
Philip works for Tumble, a San Francisco-based laundry service that gets your clothes done in 4 hours. Now, with a little help from Isaac. He's a tad slow, about 2 minutes per item, but Philip says he's still learning.
You get a lot of people watching you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. He really is a celebrity in his own right.
And Isaac is just the beginning. Neo, a humanoid by Palo Alto startup 1X, is set to hit the market in 2026. Automated helpers are taking the grunt work out of chores, with a global household robot market expected to soar from $12 billion in 2024 to $71 billion by 2034.
It's picking up the toys.
Condorusas, the co-founder of Weave Robotics, the company behind Isaac, says these domestic robots are giving people something money can't buy: freedom.
We want to make sure that people don't have to spend time doing things that they don't want to do.
The price tag, tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the robot.
The big question, can he do fitted sheets?
Fitted sheets, oh, with the elastic band. God, I can't do those even.
And while Isaac has a few wrinkles to iron out, one thing's for sure: he'll never fold under pressure.
Well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? We appreciate you watching. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, until then, the news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. And it is going to be a cold one tonight and rain on the horizon.
Yeah.
This is great.
Middle
Love
of
it.
next week. Yeah. Tomorrow's just like today, though.
Okay.
Cloudy in the morning, cold.
Enjoy it while you can. We'll see you tonight at 11.